I'm Song Soo-jo from, am I able to say my school? I'm from Korean Minjok Leadership Academy, and I'm here to talk about SDG 16. May I begin? Thank you. Change needed now. Ironic considering that it is no secret our society got a long way to achieve SDG 16. Fear is pervaded throughout our society. When we turn on the TV, we find ourselves looking at innocent civilians dying from military conflicts and terror attacks. We face children raised to become child soldiers, and globally, corruption, abuse, and national conflicts heighten the tension. With injustice everywhere, skepticism rises. Are SDG 16 and world peace achievable goals? Let me be the one to answer. World peace can't be perfectly accomplished, but what we have to do is to discuss how we can at least make the world better than before. 3 steps are crucial for this goal. First, tolerance. The world is composed of 195 countries. For all of the countries to have effective, accountable institutions at all levels, they should take the responsibility as part of the global society. To put it concretely, xenophobes should be excluded, but tolerance should be encouraged. For instance, there are 25.9 million refugees out there struggling to survive day by day. And what our society needs in this situation is a discussion of how to accept refugees in a global scale and overcome the crisis together. If we don't acknowledge that when the neighbor's house is on fire, our house is on fire, strong institutions will stand nowhere. Second, activism. There are mainly 2 ways in our society changes, from top to the bottom and from bottom to the top. Through history, we've found out that only the latter results in real change. To take an example, Republic of Korea earned democracy abruptly after liberation in 1945. However, real democracy was achieved by the people of Korea, resisting against the dictators throughout late 20th century. It is not the external force, but the member of the community who could actually make change. Activism is the primary act citizens should take. Third, democracy. Democracy is a system in which the power lies on the hands of the people. Naturally, military conflicts and terror attacks happen in the area where corrupted democracy and dictatorship stand. Global society should be careful and democratic in defining its role in solving the problems. NGOs and international institutions should spread democracy through education and provide places for diplomatic negotiation. Military intervention should never take place by the decision of few governments. Achieving democracy should be through democracy. Today, I emphasized the actions governments and citizens should take and the importance of democratic process. Real change occurs only when millions of people stand up, fight back, and say change is needed. Millions of citizens are who have the responsibility to take action when needed. Change needed now. Thank you.
We have problem today in our relations with between the Korea and Japan, for example. You
Yes.
talked a lot about the democracy. Democracy important.
Yes.
Very important. Some says your colleagues who spoke before here, kind of democratic theory. Democratic countries will not fight each other. Japan, obviously a democratic country, and Korea too. Why still do we have such a serious dispute, which is not helpful to maintaining peace in both regionally and the national level with Japan and Korea still have problems, right, with that kind of disputes. What is your view?
So you asked me about the relationship between Korea and Japan specifically. And I believe that our country and Japan is both very developed democratic society. And the most serious problem we have as a developed democratic society is the economic inequality. Because of the economic inequality, democracy is falling backwards and stepping backward because people can't get educated because of economic status, and because of that, democracy is stepping backwards. And those with domestic problems we have in a democratic society, it's very hard for those two countries to cooperate and have a good relationship, because first step for both countries should be a domestic democratic system to be stabilized. So I believe that first step should be economic equality achieved in both countries, and then second, I think we have to have tolerance as a priority values. We have to take it, and as I mentioned in my speech, with tolerance based on each country's foreign policy, I think we should have a talk rather than just attacking each other with economic sanctions and economic policy which is against each other. So I believe the current status quo, we have the most significant problem is the economy and economic markets, but we have to have tolerance as the priority, and based on domestic democratic system, we could, I believe, hopefully, we could solve the problem together.
You've lived in Britain, I imagine? You grew up in UK?
Actually, I've never been to, I've never lived in abroad.
Oh.
I lived in Korea, but I never lived in abroad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was, your accent is clearly British, but
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a question related to Brexit, but I guess my question to you is, would you say Trumpism, Brexit, this terrifying right-wing nationalism that we've seen in the last few years, would you attribute that to xenophobia and racism, or is it a symptom of economic inequality?
I believe it's based on economic inequality. I believe that the thing you mentioned, racism and xenophobia, is a part of the Trumpism and this nationalism, rising nationalism. Those are just part of the nationalism, current nationalism. So I believe the most basic problem we have right now is economic inequality. And I believe there's a lot of ways to overcome the economic inequality. There's democratic socialism, which is represented by in US Bernie Sanders, which is quite opposing to Trump. And there's the nationalism. So people need to have something to believe in, and people choose between a lot of options they have, and one of the options is nationalism. And Donald Trump and a lot of far-right parties throughout European Union, are using that nationalism very well on the people, and people believe on that ideology. And because of that, I think the social problem we have with the nationalism is rising and getting bigger and bigger. But still, I think we have hope that we could even see from democratic socialism, which was expected not to be really popular in US, especially because of their history based of Cold War. But I think people are getting tolerant with the ideology, and thoughts are getting expanded, and because of that, I think we are getting closer to the society we are dreaming to live in. But still we have things to solve, like nationalism, which is devastating, especially with the refugee crisis, and a lot of problems we have in EU and all over the world. Thank you.
You mentioned about democratic socialism.
Yes.
What is that? What is the difference between democratic socialism and social democracy?
May I answer?
Yeah.
Actually, that was the very first question I had when I heard democratic socialism, because there is a social democracy and democratic socialism, and the thing I found out is that the approach is slightly different. So, social democracy is a system which is based on democracy and trying to achieve socialism. However, democratic socialism is based on socialism, which is economic system, and then trying to achieve socialism with the methods democracy. So basically, the basic difference between democratic socialism and other just basic socialism or communism is that we base on our methods on democracy rather than proletariat revolution. So that's the significant difference I found out, and I also believe that setting democracy as a method we could achieve in an economic system is the best way we could do, and I believe that's the method a lot of European parties are selecting, including Labour Party in Britain and social democratic parties in the European continent.
You mean I think there is very strong difference, right?
Yes.
I hope you have time to discuss about these two concepts when you return to your school, which is very strong school.
Oh yeah.
I think those countries, most advanced countries in European countries, including UK, you just mentioned, is representative. I mean, their policies of democratic socialism.
Yeah.
The social democracies, right? They are democracies.
Yes.
First of all, the honoring, respecting the fundamental freedom and human rights of the people, and recognizing the merits of pluralism and multiple political parties and so on. But when you look at the names of the China, which is People's Democratic PRC, People's Republic of China, and what is that? Yes, North Korea, Democratic People's Republic. Many countries, socialist countries, in true sense, they pretend to be a kind of having a democratic system. In fact, not.
Yes, exactly.
So very misleading. So having a clear idea on the definition of these two words are very important. I mean, Strong suggests that you use, instead of democratic socialism, social democracy, which is quite accepted worldwide.
Yes.
Because they want to. They are not satisfied with traditional capitalism, market economy. They want to amend some of the weak points of that system to make it more helpful to enhancing the well-being of the people and so on, right?
Yes.
So kind of amended capitalism.
Yes. Keynesianism.
One way. That effort expressed is social democracy of European political parties. Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right. You have a nice political career ahead of you, young man.
Thank you.